Revolution family. My name is Anna Martavishki. I'm a regional organizer with Our Revolution, and I'm joining you from New Jersey. It is so great to be on this call with all of you. Tonight, we have an amazing lineup. We have Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar joining us. And we will have some personal stories. We will talk about important hot topics such as canceling student loan debt, such as raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. These issues are in the press happening right now. We need your support. We need your support for all of our campaigns. So join us. Let us know where you're calling in from. Let us know in the chat. And we have launched our Canceling Student Loan Debt campaign. If you are on the phones, please press star or press 1 if you have student loan debt, or press 2 if you don't have student loan debt. We are really curious how many of you have student loan debt yourself or someone in your family, in your network. So press 1 if you have student loan debt, or press 2 if you don't. We are really curious, and we will going to announce the results of the poll during the call. So again, tonight we are joined by Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman from Minnesota, and we are joined by Gabby Ambroise from New Jersey, who is going to share a personal story. Here we have Nate Crudan joining from Seattle. We have Carl joining from Akron, Ohio. We have an Ohio Our Revolution organizer tonight on the call. We have Bruce J from Broward County. Hi, Bruce. Nice to see you on the call. We have Lucero Mesa calling us from South Carolina, joining us. Robin Sunbeam, Glassboro, New Jersey in the house. So great to see all of you again. We have an amazing call tonight, and we have also launched our 2021 Movement Builder membership drive. So please join us, help us sustain our campaigns and our grassroots organizing all across the country. We are asking you to join our membership drive with just $5 or more. You can be a sustaining member of all of our efforts. So the link is going to be placed for you in the chat. Who else is joining us? Susan from Detroit is joining us. Aaron is joining us. Diego is here from Our Revolution, Washington, D.C. Nice to see you, Diego. Who else is here? We have so many people joining us, I can't even read. John Betts from Phillipsburg, New Jersey in the house. Love it. Andrew from California is joining us. Steve here from Seattle. My student loan debt is preventing me from getting back to school. These are the stories we want to hear about. So please press 1 if you have student loan debt, if you're on the phone, and let us know what's going on. Renal from Orlando, Florida is here. Kat from Brooklyn. Nice to see you, Kat. So join us again. We have launched our membership drive for 2021. It's a Movement Builder membership drive, really accessible for everyone. $5 or more, you can be a sustaining member of all of our amazing grassroots campaigns happening all across the country. Dwight here is from Redmond, Washington. Kathy from Massachusetts joining us tonight. Amazing crew coming together. Who else? All right, so we will get started in a couple of minutes. Again, an amazing lineup tonight. Ilhan Omar is going to talk to us about student loan debt cancellation, and we have some personal stories from people impacted by student loan debt crisis, and someone who is going to share a personal story about the need for raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Join us in our campaigns. Robert is here from New Orleans. Chris from Western Massachusetts, and we are going to get started in just a moment. Ilhan Omar is the headliner tonight. We have an amazing team of speakers sharing personal stories. Join us in our membership drive. Fill out that form. Give us $5 or more. We can use every single dollar. We are a grassroots group. We thrive on small dollar donations from people all like you. So we are going to get started. Marissa, take it away.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight, and welcome to our National Organize to Win call. And I'd like to say tonight we're going to be talking about Trump's impeachment, canceling student debt, and fighting fracking in the fight for 15. But first, like Anna Marta mentioned, February is our membership month here at Our Revolution, and we're asking our supporters to become sustaining members. For $5 or more a month, whatever you can give, you'll help us fulfill our 4-point plan to win a progressive America in 2021. And I'm going to kick it to Hal to go over that 4-point plan.
All right, Marissa, thank you so much. Point 1 of our 4-point plan is hold President Biden and Congress accountable. During his inaugural address, Joe Biden said, "It's time for boldness, for there is so much to do." We agree. With Democrats in control of the White House and both houses of Congress, now is the time to push for bold progressive policies. Thanks to our movement, we are already seeing results. President Biden has signed several executive orders on our policies, including raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour for federal contract workers and pausing student debt payments during the pandemic. But we are calling on him to do more. Tonight, we'll hear from Representative Ilhan Omar on how we can push him to not just pause, but cancel student debt. And we are holding Congress accountable by calling on the Senate and House Democratic leaders to fight for $15 minimum wage across the board in the COVID relief package. Later in the call, we'll be hearing from Lisbeth Caceres, a fast food worker at the Pentagon who serves meals to top brass, but struggles to feed her own family. Your monthly contribution will help us keep the pressure on Joe Biden and Congress to provide desperately needed relief and deliver real change for working families. And just remember, you can contribute at ourrev.us/2021 member. And now let's go to Marissa for points 2 and 3 of our 4-point plan.
So point number 2, electing progressive champions at every level of government. From city councils to Congress, there are hundreds of elections across the country this year. When you become a sustaining member, you'll be helping our revolution to support and elect progressive champions like Nina Turner and Allison Mcguire, an educator who was inspired by Bernie and decided to run for city council in Texas. You're going to hear from Allison later tonight. And number 3, fighting for progressive policies. From organizing to pass statewide single-payer bills to fighting fracking, our members are working hard to enact progressive policies in their cities and states. Last year, we won nearly 81% of our state and local ballot initiatives like Fight for 15 and paid family leave. And there are more issues to come in 2021. Tonight, you're going to hear from Carl Kellman, a member of Our Revolution Akron, who's going to tell us about how they helped defeat a fracking proposal in Northeast Ohio. By joining our revolution, you'll help ensure that we can continue to keep fighting for progressive policies like criminal justice reform, addressing the climate crisis, and so much more. And Hal's going to wrap up the rest of our 4-point plan.
Yeah, number 4, Marissa, is build a progressive party. Our revolution has the unique mission of building a movement for change outside in the streets and inside by electing progressives to fight on our issues in the halls of power. So we're working outside and inside the Democratic Party to make it more progressive. If you joined our call last Monday, you heard from 2 great Our Revolution activists, Megan Smith from Maine and Brianna Westbrook from Arizona, about how progressives are taking over their state parties. Your monthly gift supports our goal of electing progressives to party leadership positions, from precinct committee members to DNC chairs this year, 2021. Our revolution does not take corporate money. We are entirely people-powered and rely on supporters like you. When you become an official member, you invest in building our grassroots groups and preparing us for the fights and victories to come. You can sign up for as little as $5 a month at the link in the chat. For those listeners calling in, the membership link is ourrev.us/2021 member. And now, Marissa, tell us about the student debt poll results.
So now that we've been on the call for a little bit and folks have gotten a chance to participate in the poll, over 75% of our listeners have student debt, myself included, over 76%. That number keeps rising. So our first guest tonight is Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She represents Minnesota's 5th Congressional District and is part of the squad. She's holding Trump accountable for the Capitol insurrection, and she's fighting for student debt cancellation. And I'm very happy to welcome Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Welcome.
Hey, everyone. So great to be here with you all.
And Congresswoman, can you tell us a little bit about the current state of affairs and what's going on with the impeachment and insurrection?
Impeachment and insurrection. As you all know, we impeached Trump for the second time in the House. And obviously, we are pushing for a conviction in the Senate, and the trial is happening as we speak. It is really important for us, if we say we are a country of laws, where there are consequences for your actions, that we actually set an example and make sure that the former president is held accountable for not only inciting an insurrection against the United States government, but also for leading a rebellion against the United States government.
Yes, and that is very important work. And can you tell us a little bit about all the things that have been happening this week and last week with the student debt cancellation?
Yeah, as many of you probably have seen, last week I joined Majority Leader Schumer, Senator Warren, and some of my colleagues in the House to reintroduce our bicameral resolution to cancel up to $50,000 in student debt for federal student loan borrowers. Here's what we know. We know that student debt is not the result of bad choices or behavior. It is the result of a broken system that tells students to get an education, go to college in order to have a stable life, but then does not provide the resources to be able to afford that education. America's collective student loan debt now sits at $1.7 trillion. Nearly 45 million Americans now have student loan debt, and the amount of debt the average student carries is rising. Young adults who graduate college with student debt now have a negative net worth, with a median net worth of, almost nothing. Parents are increasingly jeopardizing their retirement to pay off loans they took out because of their kids so that they can have an ability to get an education. In my home state of Minnesota, we have 750,000 loan borrowers, and each owe about an average of $35,000. For Black students, it's even worse. Centuries of institutionalized racism have created a persistent gap in higher education. Black students are not only more likely to need to take on debt for school, they're graduating with nearly 5 times more student debt and are likely to default on their student loans than their white peers. It is going to be really important that we recognize that we must not force Americans to choose between putting food on the table or paying off their exorbitant student loans. Minnesotans and people across the country desperately need this support, and we have to do everything that we can. I know that for many of us, this $50,000 ask is a compromise. I introduced last year, in 2019, as many of you know, a bill to cancel all student debt. And we'll continue to push for that. We know that our higher ed education system is currently in crisis as students and families continue to be burdened with huge tuition costs and housing costs, even though most students are no longer even living on campus. As this pandemic rages on, they're not even attending classes in person. Many universities are still refusing to give students housing refunds as campuses close. In other cases, private for-profit Housing companies are pressuring dorms to stay open despite safety concerns. And just like in so many other systems, this pandemic is bringing the long-standing crisis of college cost and debt to a head. That's why we're working really hard to push for President Biden to use his executive authority and do an executive order canceling $50,000 of student debt. We will also be reintroducing our Student Debt Cancellation Act to cancel out all of the debt. And we'll be calling and introducing our College for All Act to make public colleges and universities tuition free for working families. These kind of policies, we believe, meet the need at the scale that it needs to be met. And it's so important that organizers around the country continue to uplift their voices, bring people into the fold, and help us push. As progressives, we believe that there needs to be an inside and outside game. That is how we win. There is always an uphill battle when it comes to fighting for progressive values that ultimately, help everyone and don't leave people behind. And we're going to need all of you to continue to help us, raise your voices as we push for these policies.
Thank you. And I have some people saying that, President Biden doesn't have the executive authority to get rid of the student debt. Can you talk a little bit about that and why that is not true?
He certainly does have the authority to cancel student debt. He obviously knows that, which is why he continues to propose in canceling $10,000 because he knows it's within his authority. We think $10,000 does not address the scale of the problem that we know exists. $50,000 allows for about 80% of student loan borrowers to receive this relief. And we as progressives obviously believe that we have to fight for policies for all, not for the few. And $10,000 does not go anywhere near in helping all.
Great. And is there anything that our folks can do to help support and get this passed?
Yeah, as many of you know, we've had a petition going around with asks for executive action. Happy to report that nearly 50% of the policies that we asked for President Biden to utilize his executive powers have been implemented in executive orders, and we'll continue to push. My team can share that with you all. We would love to have people sign on so that we can try to get as many things off that list, because there are opportunities that we have with this administration that we haven't had. It is work that we're willing to do when it comes to legislation. We are now, the Progressive Caucus is fighting to include raising the minimum wage to $15 as part of the relief package that's going through the House currently and the Senate for the $1.9 trillion relief. When there are opportunities that exist for us to exercise our power in Congress as progressives, we're willing to do that. When push is needed from the public, we're hoping that our progressive champions across the country will help us do that push from the outside so that we can do the work in the inside.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit more about the $15 minimum wage push right now?
Yeah, so it's been a fascinating push and pull sort of process in the last couple of days. It was originally proposed by Senator Sanders, Chairman Sanders, who said this is our once in a lifetime opportunity to get $15 minimum wage to utilize this process as we push this COVID relief to include one policy that will survive, the long term, because 95% of the things that we are doing in these COVID packages are one-time relief policies. They are not policies that are going to be sustaining long after the pandemic is over. And so we have an opportunity to raise the minimum wage, to uplift 900,000 people from poverty, to create an economy that works for everyone, to have people live with dignity. And we know that no one who works a full time should live, in poverty, truly. And so it's been fascinating to see some pushback from Democrats in the Senate and in the House. And we've been organizing the last couple of days with the help from the outside as well. And we are happy to report that we've won that battle, and that now $15 is going to be included in the package that we mark up tomorrow in Ed and Labor, which I proudly sit on, and will go to the floor in the next couple of days.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Congresswoman. We appreciate having you tonight, and we look forward to having you again in the near future. There's been so many questions in the chat, but unfortunately we don't have time to get through all of them. But thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, thank you all. It's really exciting to have a more organized and able progressive caucus. And I'm really excited about the work that I heard you all earlier talking about, getting more people to Congress so that we can have an easier path as we push for progressive policies. So thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to kick it to Hal so we can introduce our next guest.
Thank you so much, Marissa, and thank you so much, Congresswoman Omar. You are definitely one of my heroes, and I am greatly thankful that you're on our call. Now let's hear from someone who is personally impacted by student debt, whom Congresswoman Omar and other progressives are trying desperately to help. Gabriella Ambrose is a member of Our Revolution, New Jersey, and a St. Peter's University student saddled with a large amount of student debt. Welcome to our call, Gabriella.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Congresswoman, for speaking earlier. I owe approximately $100 in loans, and I don't know how I'm going to pay it all back. I struggled so much with paying for college that there were days when I might have to drop out and give up on this. I heard so many horror stories about people not being able to pay off their loans because of interest. I called my mom trying to figure out how we're going to keep me in school, but my mom never had a chance to go to college, and she was willing to give up everything to give me a chance. She would tell me to never stop fighting. So I took out more loans, I worked longer hours, and I took on more responsibilities. The day I graduated, we cried together because I knew how much he had sacrificed. I cried because I was destroyed from the debt. I cried for others who couldn't afford to graduate. Canceling student loans just isn't about eliminating the burden of debt from students. It's more than that. More student loan borrowers are Black women, and canceling student debt means addressing the racial gap. With Kamala Harris, we have a Black female vice president who was at an HBCU, and for the first time, there is someone in the executive branch who looks like me. So I call on Vice President Harris to stand with women across the country who struggle with student debt. I want her to push President Biden to do the right thing and protect students from further financial distress. Every day, the pandemic is showing us how much we need to invest in the working class. An investment in the working people is an investment in America. I asked President and Vice President to cancel all student loans and heal us all the nation as they promised. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gabriella, for sharing your story. And unfortunately, we did have to turn the video off towards the end. We were having some audio problems. And I think, though, that despite them, Gabriella's story came across loud, clear, and powerful. Let's just hope the president is listening. Join Gabriella and Our Revolution in calling on President Obama to commit to not just pausing, but canceling student debt. Sign on at the link in the chat. And for listeners on the phone, that link is ourrev.us/noedudebt. That's ourrev.us/noedudebt. And from student debt to fracking, Our Revolution is fighting for progressive policies in Congress and in our communities. When we organize, we win. Our Revolution Akron is celebrating a victory after putting pressure on their city council to withdraw a fracking proposal. As we know, it is not easy to get elected officials to side with the public against the oil and gas industry and other fracking interests. So this was a huge win. Here to tell us about this victory is Carl Kellman of Our Revolution Akron. Welcome, Carl.
Hey, Hal, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you with us, Carl. You and other activists in Akron, including Our Revolution member Tara Samples, who is a staunch Nina Turner supporter, engaged, and you worked and you organized and you won. Please tell us about that victory.
Yeah, we organized and we won, and that's really the central theme of it. Tara Samples was critical in supporting this, and for anybody who doesn't know, Tara is running part of Nina Turner's campaign here in Summit County, which is the county that Akron is in. The quick background on the actual fracking, the Ladue Reservoir is part of the headwaters for the Cuyahoga River. That is the river, for anybody who doesn't know, that actually got the EPA started because of how many times it lit on fire. So what the city was trying to do is allow horizontal fracking in and under the water. So basically what we did is we organized, we got more than 106 calls in one city council meeting to oppose this. We got hundreds of signatures for online petitions. We made tons of phone calls to every single city council member. And that is how we won. We just kept calling. We kept telling them, hey, we're not going to let you shut us out. We're not going to let you kill our beautiful natural resources. And we're going to win this. And that's how we won.
Yeah, that's just tremendous. It's really inspiring to hear of successes like this, where the good folks are able to stop the profiteers and the short timers. That's tremendous, Carl. And you are continuing, of course, in Akron and in Ohio, fighting hard to elect one of Our Revolution's own, our former president, Nina Turner. Tell us about, and we've discussed this before on our calls, but just tell us how committed you are there in the Buckeye State to elect Senator Nina Turner.
Yeah, we're super committed here in the Buckeye State. As many do or don't know, Nina Turner has a huge history here. She was a Cleveland City Council member as well as a state senator. So when we get the attacks against us of you're trying to go too far out of the establishment, keep in mind, like, Nina Turner was for a while part of the establishment. So that's why we're super excited to have her. We're using every tool we have available to elect her. We put hours and hours in every week. We made phone calls 2 days a week, which if you haven't, you should sign up to the phone bank with our Rev for Nina. Great stuff. Yeah, we're super committed though. We have our whole ground game already built out, ready to go. The second we get the okay, we're super committed and ready to go.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Carl, for joining us and all the great activists in Ohio. And now let's go right back to Marissa and to discuss another important critical policy we're fighting for.
And thank you, Hal. Another progressive policy that we've been long fighting for is a $15 minimum wage. It's been 11 years since the last federal minimum wage hike, and since then, the cost of living has increased 20%, while the price of housing and healthcare have increased even faster. Our next guest knows the firsthand importance of earning a living wage. Elizabeth Casares works at McDonald's inside the U.S. Pentagon, and although she works hard serving food to top brass every day, she's struggling to put food on the table for her own family. In 2013, she joined a strike organized by Good Jobs Nation to fight for 15, and as a result of her activism, she was invited to the White House when President Obama signed the executive order raising the minimum wage for federal contract workers to $10.10 an hour, but that was back in 2014. And today, 7 years later, she's just earning $11.50 an hour. That's a raise of just $1.40 in 7 years. And it's still not enough to pay rent, utilities, and feed her children. Elizabeth would like to share her story to President Biden, and I'm going to translate while she's speaking.
Okay. Estimado señor presidente, mi nombre es Lisbeth Cáceres, trabajo en McDonald's dentro del Pentágono. Aunque sirvo a líderes militares, solo gano $11.50 la hora.
Dear Mr. President, my name is Elizabeth Casares. I work at McDonald's inside the Pentagon, and even though I serve military leaders, I only earn $11.50 an hour.
Mi salario de pobreza no es suficiente para alimentar a mis hijos, incluso pagar el alquiler y las utilidades tampoco. Tengo beneficio de salud médico de lo que significa que tengo que usar Medicaid para tratar mi artritis crónica.
My poverty wage isn't enough to feed my kids or even pay the rent and utilities. I don't have healthcare benefits, which means that I use Medicaid to treat my chronic arthritis.
Los trabajadores como yo sirven a nuestras tropas, no deberían pasar dificultades para sobrevivir.
Workers like me who serve the troops shouldn't have to struggle to survive.
Espero es por eso que me fui a huelga por 5 for 15 desde el 2013 y porque yo fui invitada a la Casa Blanca en el 2014 cuando el presidente Obama firmó la orden ejecutiva para aumentar nuestro salario 10-10.
And that's why when I went on strike to fight for 15 starting in 2013, because I spoke up, I was invited to the White House in 2014 when President Obama signed the executive order to raise our pay to $10.10 an hour.
Fue un comienzo, pero no suficiente. Mi familia todavía vive en la pobreza. Es por eso que le pido al presidente Biden y al Congreso to fight for 15 right now. Sinceramente, Lisbeth Cáceres.
And it's a good start, but it's not enough. My family still lives in poverty, and that's why I'm calling on President Biden and Congress to fight for 15 right now. Sincerely, Elizabeth Casares. And right now, as Congresswoman Omar said, the $15 minimum wage is in the COVID relief package. And it made it out of committee today, but we must continue to pressure lawmakers and President Biden to support it. Senate Democrats are talking about stripping it from the bill and making it a standalone bill. And if they do, it won't survive a filibuster by Republicans. So we're putting pressure on Democratic leadership in the Senate to do the right thing and keep $15 minimum wage in the COVID relief bill. Please sign our petition linked in the chat. And thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining us. And
thank you.
So Thank you so much again. And we do really want to remind folks that this is an organization that is doing so much good. I mean, I am so proud of the work we're doing. This call, especially focusing on working people like Elizabeth Caceres. That's why we're in this, to just so that people can have a decent life. I mean, we are fighting for that in every area, whether it's protecting the environment. And we know that environmental equity is such a serious problem. A city like Akron, a blue-collar city, a city where there's a high percentage of people of color, and that is exactly where you're going to find people trying to frack on public lands and to spoil areas where poor, struggling, and working people live. So we do ask you, please, to contribute if you can, if you have a little bit of available funds. We do ask you to become a recurring donor every month, just $5. Sign in at ourrev.us, and then you can /2021 member, ourrev.us/2021 member. We thank you so much for your support. Fracking, we've talked about it. We talked about it with Carl. I just mentioned it and how it impacts most seriously on poor, struggling, and working people of color. This year, we are focusing on elections all over the country, and that is a problem all over the country. Our next guest, Allison Mcguire, is an Our Revolution Texas member. She's running for a seat on the Denton City Council. She's a second-generation public school teacher. My wife herself is a second-generation public school teacher. Allison recognized, as does my wife, Mindy, that her students were being impacted by insecurity about basic needs like food and housing. So she decided to run for city council so she could advocate for policies that can help her students and their families. Our Revolution North Texas has proudly endorsed Allison Mcguire. Allison, welcome to our call. Tell us about your campaign, your fight for the students that you teach and for students all across your district. And also maybe weave fracking into it as well, if you can.
Absolutely. Hi, y'all. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with so many progressive champions that are doing the important work to transform our democracy. My name is Allison Mcguire. I'm running for City Council in Denton, Texas. We are about 25 miles north of Dallas, and we are truly in the heart of oil and gas country. We are one of the most fracked cities in the country. Back in 2014, we passed a citizen referendum banning fracking within our city limits, and it lasted, I believe, 4 months before the state of Texas passed HB 40, taking away our home rule rights and banning bans. It's sometimes jokingly known as the ban against bans, right? But we're not done fighting. We're still fighting for our home rule rights. We're still fighting for the right to decide what happens in our city, what goes into our air, what kind of chemicals that we are exposed to. And we still have some leeway when it comes to regulating the oil and gas industry. We also have a lot of really wonderful opportunities in Denton for making a difference when it comes to climate change and the environment. We have a publicly owned electric utility here, Denton Municipal Electric, which set as a goal going 100% renewable by 2020. We did not meet that goal. And I would love to have the opportunity to push harder and put more pressure on actually being 100% renewable. We also have a lot of opportunities when it comes to development and growth. We are growing very, very rapidly. And we have a lot of opportunities to develop in a way that is responsible, environmentally responsible, making our city more walkable, less dependent on cars. And part of that responsible development, as well as being environmentally responsible, we really have to be thinking about housing costs. We have a real problem with our housing market here. Housing costs are skyrocketing, and we need to develop in a way that is going to bring those costs under control.
So we have a question for you, Allison Mcguire. I'm hearing some feedback. I'm not sure where that's coming from. I think we got rid of it. No, so how many wells are you aware of in Denton or in that region that are causing environmental damage?
To be honest, I don't have a number off the top of my head, but it's so many, it almost doesn't make sense to talk about it in those terms. There's one about a quarter mile from my house next to a park. There are 6 on the campus of our local high school. I mean, they are everywhere. They are in our neighborhoods in Denton.
Is this a winning issue in Texas? I mean, it's an oil and gas state. There's a lot of oil and gas billionaires there. How do you win over voters who may be afraid for their economic survival?
We already did. We passed a ban on fracking in 2014. A majority of the citizens of the city of Denton passed that ban. So it's not about convincing the voters. It's about convincing the state legislature, convincing the governor, or even better, electing progressives to our state legislature and to our governorship.
We've got a lot of questions for you, Allison Mcguire. Let's see if we can squeeze a couple more in. How, first of all, can we help you win?
Thank you so much for asking. If you're in Denton, and I know that there are a handful of Denton folks watching tonight, and Parker chimed in with its 300. There are 300 gas wells within our city. I would love it if folks could go and like my social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Allison for Denton. Share it with your friends. And if you are able to contribute to my campaign, I'm going to drop a link to contribute in the chat. There we go. And you can support Our Revolution and the work that they're doing, because when Our Revolution is supporting progressive champions up and down the ballot, we all benefit from that.
All right, thank you so much, Allison Mcguire. Let me see if we can squeeze one last question in. I saw this. You did talk about affordable housing, and that is a problem across the nation. What do you propose to do to make it a little easier for folks to have a apartment or a house in your community?
Absolutely. We have a big issue in our city with members of our city governments, elected officials, accepting large amounts of money from real estate PACs, from developer PACs, and they are making decisions for the development of our city that benefit those folks, not the average Dentonite. So we're seeing huge growth. We're seeing tons of new homes being built, but all these homes are, I believe the average price of these homes is like $325,000, which is nowhere near what the average Dentonite can afford. And so people are being pushed out of town. People are being priced out of their homes. So there are a lot of solutions. We can do more subsidized housing, and we should, but we also need to incentivize developers to build more affordable housing, not just in the sense of subsidized, but housing that is sort of naturally affordable, housing that is dense, and housing that Dentonites can actually afford.
Well, again, I want to thank you one last time. Our Revolution North Texas endorsed candidate Allison Mcguire. We wish you the absolute best in your campaign. Good luck. We hope you win.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you again, Allison Mcguire. Just want to remind folks, when you become a sustaining member of Our Revolution, you help us to continue to support and elect progressive champions like Allison Mcguire. You can join for as little as $5 a month. The link to join is in the chat. And again, that is an easy one to remember, ourrev.us/2021 member. Now it is my honor to bring Marissa back on and to introduce our next guest.
Well, thank you, Hal. And I am super excited to invite up our next guest, Lauren Rolling. She is the wonderful artist that designed our membership card, but not only that, but our recently sold out Mr. Chairman Bernie sticker. Lauren is an international award-winning illustrator and a leader of Our Revolution Nashville, and her clients include the New York Times, Adidas, Harper's Bazaar, The Guardian, and many more. So welcome, Lauren. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Marissa, for that warm welcome. I'm so honored to be here.
And so I just wanted to start off the conversation. Lauren, can you tell us a little bit about how you mix your art with your activism, especially with some of the posters, that you've designed for different candidates and different actions? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Our group here in Nashville formed in 2015 around Bernie Sanders' first run for president. After that, we continued organizing. We brought Nina Turner to Nashville. We went to so many events in 2016, and then again for Bernie's second run. And every event that we attended was really another opportunity to design another poster for Bernie. And so the one on the left was from the Hot Chicken Festival. We had lots of information about Bernie, as well as, lots of flyers and forums to help people get registered to vote. And then the one on the right was from the Nashville Pride Festival, where we registered so many people to vote. So I think it was just a really good opportunity for someone that's introverted like me to be able to have a really good icebreaker to draw people's attention and to get them to come over and then to start a meaningful conversation around Bernie's policies. For St. Valentine's Day, we made Bernie Valentines to hand out to remind people when the Tennessee primary was. The saying in the middle is obviously inspired by Nina Turner's saying "with these hands." And then we painted rocks every time we went to a different event, or if we would go to a restaurant afterwards to hang out, we would leave a little Bernie rock behind with our social media information on the back. And we also met so many people at these events. Some people that were just there hanging out came over and said they loved Bernie, and we'd share our information, our group's social media with them, and then they would be canvassing with us the next time. So during this Bernie's first and second run, and then as well as our local endorsed candidates here in Nashville through Our Revolution, we would have weekly phone banks as well as weekly canvasses. So every event that we went to was, like I said, another opportunity to make something for Bernie. And then these were two illustrations that I did for Bernie. The one on the right has been exhibited internationally. It's called Burning for Bernie. And then it was just really nice to be able to combine two of my passions with activism, as well as making designs for any event that we did. So this one was for a National Voter Registration Day. This was during the pandemic. So we were trying to get people to use their cell phones so we wouldn't have to share things like clipboards and pens and stuff. And we had it at a socially distanced restaurant outside here in Nashville, 1045. This was a local voting guide that we made, and I was able to illustrate portraits of our amazing progressive candidates here in Middle Tennessee and in Nashville. And so we asked them several questions, and then I illustrated their portraits, and then we took them and made illustrated quotes for them for our social media. So that was a really fun project. And then this is the most recent illustration that I've done for Our Revolution. I was honored to do the Movement Builder membership card for you all.
And Lauren, can you tell us a little bit about the symbolism behind the card design?
Absolutely. So I was really inspired by our local group. We all are really different from each other. We all have our unique quirks, for sure, our unique details, like all the different shoes at the bottom, but we work really, really well together. We hit the streets, like I said, for any event that we had, for canvassing, for marches, different stuff going on here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee. And we just work, well behind the scenes to be able to put the attention on our local amazing candidates, as well as push for progress by supporting progressive policies as well.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I like to say for everyone, if you were able to get one of our hot, awesome Bernie Sanders, Chairman Bernie stickers that Lauren designed, they just all shipped out. So you should be getting them soon. And, if you didn't unfortunately get one of those before we sold out, Lauren's going to be designing some more limited edition stickers soon. So if you all just keep an eye out on your emails, you'll see some of those. And if you can, please make a contribution to the Our Revolution Movement Builder membership drive, and you will be able to get another piece of art, the membership card that Lauren designed. So that's pretty awesome. And, I want to give Lauren a shout out. Her website is laurenrolling.com, and we love the work that she's been doing. So thank you so much, Lauren.
Thank you so much.
And with that, we're going to, start wrapping up the call. So, we've been talking tonight about ending the student debt. So we need all of your help to push that. You'll see links in the chat to sign the petition. In addition, we are fighting for the $15 minimum wage. We need your help to pressure our lawmakers to make sure that we keep that $15 minimum wage in the COVID relief bill. And we will be hosting phone banks for Senator Nina Turner. So we're going to have the incredible opportunity to send our very own Nina Turner to Congress this year. Our Revolution Ohio is going all out to make sure that Nina wins her special election and joins the squad. So please help out by signing up to phone bank. You'll see the link in the chat. And we'll be hosting our own phone bank for Karen Carter Peterson. Our Revolution has joined Stacey Abrams in endorsing the Louisiana State Senator Karen Carter Peterson in her race to represent Louisiana's 2nd District in Congress. Karen's election is on March 20th, so you can see the link in the chat to sign up for the phone bank. And I'm going to kick it to Hal to talk about some of our upcoming events.
Yeah, thanks so much, Marissa. And I've really enjoyed being on this call and grateful to have the opportunity to host. Our groups are holding more calls this week. You can RSVP for any or all of them on Mobilize. Tomorrow, our Illinois Revolutions call features State Senator Robert Peters, who helped pass the bill that made Illinois the first state to end cash bail. Way to go, Senator Peters. On Wednesday, Our Revolution Maine's 2021 kickoff will review the bills to look out for in this year's state legislative session, including one sponsored by our own Grayson Lookner. He is indeed a representative in the Maine House. Thursday, Our Revolution Connecticut will discuss efforts to pass a right to counsel bill to protect renters facing eviction. The Baltimore City Council has already passed right to counsel, and my state, the state of Maryland, is considering a similar bill. And this Saturday, Our Revolution South Carolina honors Black History Month with great guests, including Nina Turner, Senator Nina Turner, of course. I can't just pass over that. We're very excited to see Nina again this Saturday. Labor attorney D. Rick Martin, who also was a local president of the United Auto Workers. We have a local NAACP vice president, and also we have a representative from the American descendants of slaves, Keith Witherspoon, and very excited to hear about that organization as well. So with that, we're coming to the end of our call, and Marissa will join me, and we hope all of you as well will. And we went through this call a little quicker than usual, so there's a little extra time for you to be with your families or catch up this evening. You may want to use that time to become a recurring donor, ourrev.us, and we would love to see you there with those monthly contributions if you can. And obviously that's only if you're in a position to do so. ourrev.us/2021 member. So thank you all for joining us tonight. And we also want to give a special thanks to all of our volunteers and donors and to everyone who has signed up to be a sustaining member. So Marissa, let's do our chant together if we can.
Yep.
I'll say it on 3. So 1, 2, 3. When we organize, we win. When we organize, we win. When we organize, we win. Have a great night, everybody.